Hello, beautiful people. How are you doing today? So it's been a hell of a day. It's been a hell of a day, let me tell you. Yesterday was Australia Day, and we had that issue with the back windscreen, happened to my friend's car, and it's all been topsy-turvy today. So I just wanted to jump on here nice and quick. Sorry for the shaky footage. I'm just holding my phone and I'm doing a live stream straight from my phone. As many of you know, I'm going through a bit of an ordeal over here. When life hits, it hits you pretty hard. And so I wanted to talk to you guys about the Bonestone. I keep getting message after message every single day across platforms about the Bonestone. And I'm so grateful that my deck is so loved and so sought after. I have a very limited number of first editions still left over. I started off with just under 90 and I've been drip feeding it across my website. And I'm going very slowly because I've got a lot going on in my life at the moment. I have a rather serious heart condition for which I'm having really invasive what do you call it, examinations for. So I've got one on the 22nd and I have to go under anesthetic and they're going to go, it's transesophageal, so they're going to do an ECG, but it's a bit more of an invasive one, so they have to have a look at the situation before they can actually like determine what it is that they can do, whether or not I'm going to have the what do they call it? The little plug, the little mushroom plug, or whether or not I have to have full-blown open heart surgery, which is a little bit intimidating and it's causing a lot of stress to my brain, as I'm sure you can imagine. But I've been reading with the Bonestone every day and I've been sharing more images of the Bonestone and I have come full circle. At one point I couldn't even bear to look at the Bonestone. I know that that may sound odd, but with everything that happened with the Bonestone and all of the just the nastiness, I took a big step back from the Bonestone and I thought, I will never ever make another tarot deck again. I'm never going to touch the Bonestone. It's dead to me. And obviously that was just a bit of a reaction. But I've come full circle and I love seeing people use my deck. Hi, Tavita Ellie. I love people showing me images of them working with my deck or having my deck in a rotation for client readings. And hi, Alicia. And, you know, I love seeing it. Hi, Irish. How you going? And I keep looking at my Bonestone. It's the primary deck on my altar, and so is the Bones of the Bonestone, the ghostly sepia deck. And I'm just once again so proud. I'm so proud of it. And it is, it's actually making me feel a little bit sad that it's coming close to the end of that era. I have been getting a lot of questions asking whether or not I'm going to be doing a second edition, and the intention is yes, but I am not going to be self-publishing the second edition. Hi Spitfire Cat, how you going? And I've got to say, oh, thanks honey, that's so kind. Yeah, I just can't, I'm not going to self-publish it, and I have lined up a publisher that sort of sees my vision for the deck, a publisher that's not trying to turn the deck into an oracle deck, which is, in my head, it's an abomination. Oh, thank you, Elandra Nightgale. Hi, Jonathan. And, I was gobsmacked. I had a couple of publishers come to me and say, oh, could you see yourself turning it into a oracle deck? I'm like, no, no, I couldn't. No, just absolutely flat out no. Because it was made to be a tarot deck. The intention was the tarot deck. The story of it is tarot. Each individual character has a name in association with a card that belongs to the system of the tarot. I'm so about the deck being a tarot deck, right? So I finally found a publisher who is going to help me put out a second edition, but I can't look at doing that until after I find out what's going on with my heart. But we are in talks. Anna has been informed. We have sat down and we have looked at all the cards that we'll be changing. We've looked at the backing. We've got ideas for a new backing. We've got ideas for all the new cards. There's quite a bit of tailoring that will happen. And then I've got to look at trimming down the guidebook a little bit. So the deck will essentially be the Bonestone, but there will be changes made to it. So it will be a traditional second edition, which will look different to the first edition. This one will not have the red gilding and the edges. It is totally up to the publisher what kind of gilding they go for, and the cardstock. I'm not privy to that at this stage, but I have someone really lovely lined up, and I'm pretty excited, and I feel confident sort of, you know, working down this path. There's a lot of oh, got a cramp in my hand. There's a lot of feels to letting go of a deck to a publisher. There's a great many feels, and I'm having all the feels. I thought that if I waited enough time, I could maybe brave another edition myself and self-pub another edition, but even with the help of other people, I don't think I can manage that. Not in keeping with the circumstances that I have. Everything is so hard down here, which is something that I didn't know when I moved down and I was shipping the deck out. I mean, I have a tiny post office, which is fantastic, don't get me wrong. But nothing's easy. I can't get packaging easy. I can't get tape easy. I can't get, you know, I can't get things like that very easy. And you might be thinking, well, you can just order it online. And yes, I can order online, but it takes forever to get here because I'm in the deep south of a part of Tasmania that seems to be forgotten by the rest of mainland Tasmania, and everything seems to be a little slower and a little more backwards and a little antiquated. It's the end of the day and I've had a day. So I really sort of like ummed and ahed, but I'm sad. I'm sad to see it. I'm sad to see like the end of the era. The way the Bonestone looks now is my original, just my original vision for that deck. It is my absolute original vision for it. It could not be any better to me. Like, that is exactly how I wanted it. And I will be changing it at least like 8 or 9 cards, if not 11. I can't remember what Anna and I actually spoke of. And we're talking about the cards that we would be changing and adjusting and adjustments that we'd be making to cards and all of that. And yeah, so it's going to look and feel different to the original first edition Bonestone, which is going to mean that those of you who have my first edition are going to notice it. You are going to notice it in the look, in the feel, in the energy, in the guidebook, in the backing. The backing will be different. And I'm kind of excited to see where that goes. I'm kind of excited to see the change and where that's going to land. But I'm being very precious with my remaining Bonestone decks. I've just uploaded six units of the original Bonestone to my website. I'm drip feeding it. I'm not putting it all out there at once. I cannot deal with that calamity of shipping out. It's just been, it's so tricky. It's so tricky. Even with help, I have somebody handling the packaging and the sending and the dispatching and all of that of the deck so that I don't have to deal with that side of it. It's still very, very tricky. Yes, Anna is working with me again on this part of the Bonestone, so she's well informed and well aware. I've got to send her some images for things, and we're working behind the scenes on getting that ready, but it's slow moving because I've informed my publisher that I do have a heart condition that needs to be rectified, and I just don't know how poorly that's going to impact my my quality of life depending on which procedure I go for. So I don't want to lock myself into any kind of deadline at this stage because I think that would be very reckless and it would cause me an unnecessary amount of stress. But that's it. It is going to be another edition of the Bonestone at some point. I just don't know when, and it is going to look very, very different. At least that's the hope. I need it to feel different to the first. The first was always my baby. There is a lot of magic, a lot of heart and soul put into that first edition. And I only made 1,000 decks. That's it. There's only 1,000 first edition Bonestones out in the world, which is why it's fetching such ridiculous amounts of money. People are independently selling it for upwards of over $1,000 now. And you don't need to do that because it's cheaper on my website. I'm not looking at exploiting it. I'm just sad to see it go. It's my baby. It's all grown up and now it's moving out. It's going into college and it's going to transform. Oh my gosh. The Bonestone was such an incredible journey for me, and it taught me a lot of things. And the deck itself speaks volumes of that. The way that that deck reads, it took me a minute to be able to work with it because I knew it so well. I knew what I meant. I knew what every card was intended to be. I knew how it felt. I knew the story. Every time I look at those cards, I know the story. And it has become such a beautiful deck for me as the creator to work with. But I was a little scared. I was a little scared of it to begin with. I was like, how... I've conceived this. This has come out of my own brain. What happens if in the space of a reading, it doesn't flow for me? Like, I'd be devastated. But it's never happened. It's never happened. And I've got to say that I just think it's such a special deck. It's got such a special energy, not just because I made it, but because of what people are telling me about their experience with the deck, plus the way that I made it, plus the way that the whole project took shape, plus all the drama, plus all the hazing, plus all the negativity, plus all the positivity, plus all of the attachment and the ownership that people have put over the Bonestone. I love it. I love it all. It took me a minute to step right back and see the whole process and kind of love it. But it was like wild abandon, that deck. It was just so free and so free flowing. It was so organic the way that it was born. And all of the issues that I've had with that deck are just part of that journey. And the lateness of that deck is, again, just part of that journey. Had I known before I started the Bonestone, before I even had the idea, I might have gotten scared off. Because a tarot deck is not just a tarot deck. A tarot deck is a magical movement that exists. And when you commit to making one of your own, get ready for things to go well and truly sideways. I got so much advice from very, very well-known oracle and tarot deck creators that I've got to tell you some of the stories that I heard during the making and the creating of the Bonestone, and some of the advice that I got was just so timely and so precious to me. I had Stacey DeMarco give me some of the best advice, and I'd wished I'd taken it. But I was on a fast train. I was on a fast train in one direction, and she was trying to help me out. And I'm like, I'm just going to feel this out on my own. And I wished I'd taken her advice. I really did. She was kind enough to give it, and she didn't have to. So I heard really beautiful pieces of advice from Sherilyn Darcy and Fiona Horn, and just so many beautiful names in tarot. Ethany reached out, Benabel reached out, Chris Ann reached out. I mean, the Bonestone was on the front cover of the Cartomancer magazine when... Oh my God, am I really just going to forget people's name now? That's awful. It's been a long day. It's been a long day. You know who I'm talking about. It'll come to me. I'm getting more and more forgetful as the older I get. My ADHD doesn't actually help me with that at all. And I've got to say that looking back now, knowing that I have ADHD and I've been formally diagnosed with ADHD, and I cannot believe that I didn't know it. I cannot believe that I didn't know it sooner. The fact of the matter is, it makes so much sense to how it is that I have worked all these years. It makes so much sense. I see it in everything that I do now. And I just know that if I had known it before I tackled a project so big, everything would have been just that little bit more smoother. I know that I suffer from like chronic executive dysfunction. So I can't self-manage to save my goddamn life. And I'm so lucky that I had people in my corner to push and pull me in all directions. Hi, Bella. The Bonestone is such a beautiful story. It's a maddening kind of deck. It's a maddening kind of beauty. It's like this beautiful rebellion. And the guidebook is just... I looked back on the guidebook for the first time in a long time. I've looked at it a couple of times, I won't lie, but every time I look at it, and I don't look at it often because it's my own work. I don't need to look at it. It came out of my own brain. But every time I look at it, I read the front page, the introduction, and I cannot believe that that came out of my own brain. I'm so impressed with myself that it's ridiculous. One should not feel this satisfied with themselves. Do you know what I mean? So my beautiful Bonestone, a beautiful fine art, work of art, Bonestone deck that came alive in front of a YouTube audience that is now sitting in so many beautiful homes on top of so many different altars, tucked inside beautiful tarot bags, being read with and being introduced to clients and other readers, like just the beautiful connectivity and the interconnectedness and the synergy of a tarot deck and its just sheer reach. The fact that there's only 1,000 copies and the fact that so many people have seen it and have come to me and shown me that they're working with this deck, like, oh, where can I get this from? Somebody pointed me out to you. Where can I find this deck? Just, it's so humbling. It is so beautiful, and I'm so grateful. I absolutely knew that I was going to make a beautiful tarot deck. That was my mission. I'm a Taurus. I'm attracted to beautiful things. I had to make a really beautiful tarot deck, and a beautiful tarot deck. A tarot deck, okay. My dyslexia stuffs me up online all the time. Those of you who follow me on Instagram will know this. You will know this. This beautiful deck. I don't mean to be rude. I am dyslexic. Which is another reason why I love the book so much, because this dyslexic ADHD human being with a gigantic hole in her heart put out this incredible deck, had the vision, had the foresight, found an incredible artist who has become such a good friend, someone who literally knows how to read my brain, and helped me bring to life this beautiful deck. And so many people, Alora and Erin and, you know, the writers of the poetry and all the feedback from the live conception sessions, the Bonestone bashes as they were called. It's a beautiful thing to know that I kind of pioneered something there. I was the only person to have ever created a tarot deck in front of a live YouTube audience. It was not intended to be this big thing. I wasn't trying to be a pioneer. I was just a YouTuber, and I wanted to do this in this way. Yay, Kiana! So I want to talk more about the Bonestone because I've shied away from it. And I've come to the conclusion, and this is thanks to much advice, that people will consistently criticize the deck and me as a person because I'm a creator and I'm putting myself out there for that critique and that criticism. And that's okay. But when I really look at it closely, it's such a minute sliver of negativity in amongst all of this beautiful love and all of this beautiful positivity and all this beautiful support. And I have to consistently and continuously remember that. And it's, you know, when your vibration is a bit low, when you're tired, when you're sick, when you're unwell, when other things are going on, it's very easy to allow that low vibe energy to corrupt the way that you see yourself or the thing that you're doing. And it taught me a really valuable lesson on self-worth and confidence. It was such a good teacher. It is such a good teacher. The Bonestone is such an incredible teacher. Hang on. I feel like I'm not doing it justice. Oh my God, my beautiful Rogan Josh. It's cooking away, and this is my copy. This is the one that I use. I need to rest you. About there. Okay. The backing won't look like this anymore. The edges will not be this like gallant blood red. It will still be a reversible backing. Oh, I just remember every card, every single card. Look at her. Such a craftsman. Such a beautiful, oh, my yurt. I'm still in love with the idea of living in a yurt, by the way. And it was Anna's idea to put the yurt in there. I'm like, I have to have a yurt in there somewhere. The Fool, look at that. Still one of people's favorite cards. There are a couple of cards that sort of feature as top favorites, the Fool being one of them. One of the least favorites because apparently arachnophobia is one of the most common phobias. Oh, look at him. Just looking all cash and catching a few. Oh. Al Morrigan. Inspired. Just harvesting mushrooms, you know. Seven of Swords. Ugh. Just look at strength. Look at strength. Look at all the beautiful animals. Oh, the three. The three. And the Knight, the Lady of the Lake. Four of Swords. I'm pretty sure that's Chris Hemsworth's butt in this one. And I still remember Anna telling me, her husband walked in on her as she's drawing this and she had like 10 or 15 butts. Like, try to explain that to a husband or a wife. The Nothing. This was another favorite. Not all that glitters is gold. The very first card ever drawn for the Bonestone was this one here, so it has a very special place in my heart. The Hierophant is still one of the most complex cards, and I still love it dearly, and I'm still obsessed, and it's one of those cards that I look for in every deck. So when Anna came to me and she was like, oh, I could probably try, and I was doing like, I guess you could call them auditions for artists. She's like, why don't you give people your favorite card to draw or a card to draw, and we'll all draw it. And when she drew the Hierophant, I knew. Oh, I'm about to get interrupted, folks. I'm going to pick this up again later, but I will talk to you again soon because I've got visitors. But thank you so much for hanging out with me. Thank you so much, and take care.